Yesterday was an epic day for Tesla. After 10 years of hard work, Tesla launched their Robotaxi program, a paid ride-hail service to a small group of early access users. I was luckily one of only 14 people yesterday, and actually was the first ever to download the app, which is a standalone app called Robotaxi, and hail the very first ride. Today, we'll show you what Elon Musk and Ashok Laswamy said, all the screenshots of the Robotaxi app, photos of the Tesla mission control room, and of course, highlights from the epic first ever Robotaxi ride. This was a historic day. It was a very successful day, and there's no doubt anymore by anyone that Tesla will be very successful and will own this massive market. Joining me today is Cern Basher, chartered financial analyst running his own investment advisory firm called BrilliantAdvice, providing wealth management services. Thank you, Cern.
Hi, Herbert. It's great to be here in Austin, Texas, and it was great to see you yesterday.
Yeah, you and I had the second ride together. We'll talk about that, but this was epic day. It was a lot of fun. And we had this live stream that you were part of. Thank you for joining me the whole 4.5 hours of the live stream. We had over 500,000 people watching at the same time. It really was a great show, and we had fun, huh?
We did. It was a little bit of an effort behind the scenes to get everything to work, but I think we pulled it off, and it was cool to be able to share the experience with everybody.
Yeah. So first of all, it may be true that I actually became the very first person in Tesla history to hail a Robotaxi that's not an employee, right? The future is here, Tesla AI. Thank you for Yashu for picking this up. But I think what happened was we downloaded the app. First, we hailed the ride hail, but then what happened was it took us, we had to walk up a quarter mile to get there. But anyways, regardless, it was pretty fun.
We ended up picking a place on the street where it wasn't very conducive for the Robotaxi to stop. And so it pulled into the nearest spot that it was safe to stop.
A couple blocks away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But if we'd picked the right place, it would have come right off the bat. So here's Elon preparing us before the actual launch in the afternoon yesterday that he said it's going to be $4.20. It was launched to a small group of people, 14 of us, probably less, that was actually there, that were downloaded the app for the first time, saw the app, ordered a car, and then I took 10 rides. Right? You and I took a couple rides together, but basically there, back, and just kept going and on, and we measured that. So here is Elon, what he said yesterday. Super congratulations to the Tesla AI software and chip design teams on a successful Robotaxi launch, culmination of a decade of hard work. Both the AI chip and software teams were built from scratch within Tesla. Kimball Musk, his brother, said, thank you, Ashok, and the amazing full self-driving team at Tesla. 10-year journey to get to today. Congratulations. And Ashok himself posted this photo of the command center. This is a Robotaxi launch party. You can see everybody, and then they have all these screens here. You know what was really cool? The bottom left, that little screen there, it was us. That was the very first. I think the lower left screen shows my first Robotaxi ride. And well, let's go through some of these metrics. But what you're thinking about, the historic day and what this means?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? It's taken 10 years to get here. That's a lot of work and effort from thousands and thousands of people that have gone to this over a decade. There are a lot of people that said that Tesla or anybody would never get a vehicle to autonomously drive. That was too difficult of a problem to solve, that no one would ever do it. There's just too many things in the way of getting a vehicle to drive by itself. And so they've done it. And that's exciting. It's something to be celebrated. And from here, again, this, as I mentioned yesterday, this is as bad as it gets. From here, it only gets better. It gets bigger, it'll expand it on a scale.
Yeah, it's only going to get better from here. This is it. And it worked flawlessly. I mean, there was a couple app glitches that happened, but these are like little tiny bumps in the road, but the big one is no bumps in the road, and that's exactly what we saw. So what we're watching here is, and I took off the music, but basically, let's listen in a little bit just to hear what we're saying here.
7. Oh my God, that's in 4 minutes.
Did you pay? Okay. Did you have to pay or not?
Yeah, I'm paying now. It's interesting to see how it's going to ask for my payment because...
yeah, give us your credit card. Let's do that.
No, but because I haven't given it my credit card, right? But it's because it's connected to my Tesla app. Maybe it might have the information. I was thinking quite a bit. Oh, failed to summon. Timeout waiting for server response.
Uh-oh.
See, let's try again. Oh no, it says your ride is 7 minutes away.
That's it.
Okay, so it worked. So even though it said failed to summon, it still actually did it.
Yep.
So let's hope that works.
Okay.
Okay, it says 6 minutes away.
Okay, so it's changing.
So it is on its way.
Okay,
You see
good.
it.
Trying to see if there's any difference in the visualization because we know that this particular
Keep him out of it.
yeah,
And then, yeah.
this particular car is using the upgraded version of full self-driving, not the kind that we are all using. You can see that on the screen there, it does say pull over, stop in lane, or support. Now that's in the front screen, so I don't know how I would reach that. And here we go. Nice
Send
and
the
smooth.
focus on the screen and make it bigger.
Which screen? On the front and
The
front.
big
Let me
screen.
pause it there. Anyways, that was a big fun ride. What you're thinking about what they shared there, that this is something that it was a launch party. Yeah.
Oh, I think Tesla deserves to celebrate this again. It's been a long time in the making. A lot of people involved that they deserve to celebrate this. It's no small achievement. Sure, the geofenced area in Austin initially on day one is pretty small, but whatever. This is the start of something that's going to be absolutely massive for Tesla.
This is it. Big deal, right? So 10 years. And so we know that Tesla was being, people are saying, oh no, it's you always promising every year Tesla's gonna, full self-driving is coming or Robotaxi is coming. Here it is. We're done. Ashok says 10 years in the making. Incredible work for the entire Tesla team to get to this milestone. So make no mistakes about it. This was a historic day. So let's take a closer look at this screen here, Cern. Look at that, the bottom here. Let me look at it. 112 rides, 499 miles. I don't know what the 35 is. I think those are cars. Yeah, there's 35 Teslas that was out there. That's what people have said. But you can see that they're tracking everything. This was, at the very beginning, because like that bottom left was us. That's our first ride. So this happened very quickly, So what do you think about these numbers?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know what the time frame of this data is, whether it was just yesterday. So I'm not sure. But anyway, they have a command center there to kind of monitor everything, which makes sense. You can see on the upper left screen looks like a little weather map. Looks like that's what it looks like to me in terms of where the potential thunderstorms might be, if there's any sort of service issues. If you just scroll a little further to the left, Herbert, I think you can see the weather map.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Top left is just, there you go.
Yeah.
That looks like because when we first, when the Robotaxi was due to roll out, I think there was a little storm cell that went through our area. It actually rained really hard for a short period of time. Yeah. And I think that's showing. And then you can see some different views from the vehicles. None of the views they're looking at is inside the vehicle. It's just what the vehicle sees around it. Yes. And so they've got 4 screens there. And then you can see in the center there, kind of on the bottom, the geofenced area that they're operating in. And it looks like it's showing a location of the vehicles. And on that map, Herbert,
right,
I'm only seeing maybe 8 vehicles. If each one of those dots is a vehicle, it's hard to tell. Yeah, there's a table there too, isn't there?
I'm looking at this one here, yeah, and that looks like that tells you there's about 8. That's right, that's ongoing at the same time.
And then next to it, to the right of that, is a map, and it looks like there's 8 or so colored dots there.
Yeah,
7 of them kind of all in one area, and then one sort of next to that gentleman's head. Yeah,
well, that's us. We went outside of where everybody else was.
Yeah,
baby.
So obviously it makes sense for them to have a command center like this to be able to keep an eye on everything. What's that showing there, Herbert, on the top right? I guess it's showing that we're 13 minutes and 38 seconds into
the launch.
The launch.
It says until June 22nd.
That was a countdown clock, I guess. So this is 13 minutes and 38 seconds into it. So
yeah, no. I'm telling you what this is that this is prior to us getting a ride. This was them showing you the cars as they were kind of headed because the actual launch was supposed to be at 2 p.m. Central, and then they allowed us to only download the app. I think there was maybe 10 of us to download the app. In fact, there's probably 8 of us. You saw that, right? To download the app prior to 30 minutes prior to this. So this is right when we just downloaded the app.
Could be, or the way I'm reading that is because we're seeing negative numbers. That's 13 minutes after.
It says
it's
until though. This says until June.
Right, but if it was a
22nd.
positive number, it would be until. But because now it's a negative number, it's after the date. I'm not sure. That's unclear to me, but that's the way I read that. Now, the thing that doesn't make sense is it would be impossible in 13 minutes to have 112 rides.
Yeah. Okay.
So that number of rides doesn't seem to coincide with the timing of, when the Robotaxi went live.
Yeah.
But in any event, it's a small number of rides. It doesn't really matter what the number is, but they have this command center keeping track of everything. And again, that's expected.
Okay, well, let's show you the actual app itself. Our normal office day made history. Normal day at the office, but that's a normal day. The stock went up. Sorry, I know this is not the most recent one. I just grabbed one earlier today, but just to show that at the beginning of the next morning, stock went up. So it was an important, day, right? People are realizing because it was very successful. Do you think that was what they'd hoped to have happened?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. The stock price return on one day is anything that they're targeting for sure, but certainly to see a positive response in the stock market is good to see. I would say from my perspective, and in talking to the people that we talked to last night that also, enjoyed these rides, I didn't hear anybody that had any story, any issue that they experienced.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of FUD out there in the media, but everybody, I think, had an amazingly positive experience, and that is a good sign for Tesla.
Yeah. You and I drove it, and we were just blown away. It was so smooth, very confident. And the app itself, let's take a look at the app. What do you think about the app and how it looks? So you've got, first of all, it's a standalone app. Everybody's going to download this standalone app. We don't know yet how it's going to be integrated to Tesla, but even as a Tesla owner, you download the app. It's called Robotaxi. I don't like the logo. We talked about this many times before, but that's the logo. It's called the Robotaxi. You can sign in and create an account. But the beautiful thing about this is that as a Tesla owner, I just signed in as my Tesla app, and immediately that's it. I'm done. I have everything. And when we walk into the car, it knows all of my apps, my YouTube channel, my Netflix, my music, everything was there. Clean and simple UI, beautiful. I know they went with the dark mode, but this is where, you can see this. It looks just like Uber, right? You can see where the car is. You can follow it along as it goes to you're standing. It'll tell you how long it takes arriving in 14 minutes. And it tells you where you're going to go, where you chose to go. This is what you're playing. You can actually change the audio of your whatever it's a video or music. You can change the temperature. You can call support, and we did that a few times, and it was immediate. As soon as you press support, live human being comes on, joins you right away. You can pull over at any moment. We tested that several times. So this is the geofenced area. I think it's 50%. I've got another graphic to show later, but it's 50% of what Waymo did. Pick up in it's a 3-minute walk. You can see here that a Robotaxi can arrive in 10 minutes, and then you type in where you want to go, and then you can choose restaurants or things like that. So it's a pretty well developed app, and then it tells you, okay, this is what.
Just go back to that last screen for a second. I just noticed something I didn't notice yesterday, but you can see that ribbon there: cafe, food, fast, park, fun, shopping. I didn't notice that in the app yesterday, but that's interesting. It will allow people to kind of drill into some things here and get some ideas. Like, for example, I don't live in Austin, Texas. I'm a visitor here. It would be kind of cool to get some ideas from the app about where to go for fun, for example, whatever is under that category. I'm not sure if that was operational yesterday, but I didn't see that. But it looks like there'll be a lot of functionality built into this app to help people get around.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? I mean, like prior to yesterday, there's so many a big group of people that kept saying, Tesla needs to partner with Uber because they have this brilliant app that is so well developed. Well, come on. Tesla's a software company. Here we go.
Right, and
do what they
that's the
do.
other beautiful thing about taking 10 years to get to the vehicle where it needs to be. They had plenty of
Yeah,
time
sure.
to do it. Yeah.
yeah. They had more time that they. Anyways, okay. So here's your ride is 3 minutes away. They start giving you tips on how to use the car because many people don't know how to open the door. Remember that? Lots of people going, Tesla's going to fail Robotaxi. Why?
Right.
Well, because nobody will know how to open the door. Okay.
I think people
Really?
can figure that out.
Yeah. And then when the vehicle arrives, the exterior lights will pulse, and then you can actually see the license plate. And when you walk in, it'll say, "Hello, Herbert." So I mean, it was as if they've been around. The service has been around forever already. So this is what it looks like.
It's a very clean app. The one thing I think we discovered maybe some functionality that wasn't enabled just yet. For example, the ability to change your destination while you're in the vehicle.
Yes.
We attempted, I think, to do that a couple times. We didn't.
Yeah.
I don't think that was enabled yesterday.
That's right. The ability to change a destination. You can stop it at any time.
Yes.
And then once you do stop it, you can then enter a new one. But there wasn't this, somewhere like right there. Okay, no, I want to change the destination. Right. So that part, it's still buggy. It was a little buggy, a little tiny, a couple bugs, but otherwise, there you go. So look at it. It's pretty complete. Sign in or create account. Yeah.
I'm encouraged there by that on the previous slide, the suggestions there for restaurants under food. It's showing restaurants that are 2,400 miles away. So that suggests that Robotaxi rides will be a lot longer in the future. Yeah.
What is that? I guess I think it's because you type in a letter. Right. And then, it's like a map, right? So they goes,
it must
what are
be
you looking
based on
for?
where you live or something. And your Seattle home is,
you think so?
2,000 miles away from these places.
Well, this isn't mine. This is not my screenshots. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's interesting. Yes, it could be very well be that okay, they had a little fun too, right? They had this thing where how was your ride, and then this is funny. And so so if you go back to that, like it goes, okay, how was your ride? And you can rate it between 5 lightning bolts or whatever. And then you type in a review. And this guy said, incredible. Zach said, incredible, so smooth and love the UI. And then it goes, leave a tip, $1, $2 or other. And no matter what you pick, what do you get? you see that, you see this funny, just kidding.
Yep.
We don't need tips.
Yeah, that's clever. I'm curious about if you selected other and then put in either $420 or $69, whether it would have accepted those.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah,
the custom.
There might be some number where it's like, okay, if you insist, yeah. Or you.
But
took the
anyways,
right
one thing I want to remind people, and it's obviously most of you guys know this already, but when you're competing with a Robotaxi against a Uber or Lyft, you do not have to pay the tip. So right now, Waymo charges, as Cern has kind of done shows on this and he does his research, Waymo charges more than Uber and Lyft, more. But at least you don't have to tip. So here, Tesla will not only charge much less than everyone else, but they'll also not have to tip. So Cern, what do you think about the pricing? They launched yesterday, $4.20. Of course, that's funny, but it's a flat fee. And is it maybe that's just us because it's the first trial, right? Make it simple. Or maybe this is their strategy not to have surge pricing. What do you think?
Well, I don't think the flat fee pricing will be their strategy. Perhaps maybe, in certain areas they can do that, but I don't see that as being their strategy. I think that would be sort of a traditional rideshare strategy. There's, as I'm tracking the cost of rideshare here in Austin, from both myself and somebody else, we now have 16 data points. There's a very clear curve in terms of the cost. And so I think Tesla will probably go with that sort of traditional model, but there's some outliers on the traditional rideshare cost curve that I think Tesla will probably avoid because it really leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. there's no need for Tesla to massively undercut the rideshare market at this point until they have enough vehicles in the market that they can meet demand. And so I expect their pricing to evolve over time. And I think the 420 was just kind of a fun thing for perhaps the next several days, just as a fun initial way to do this.
We don't know anything. We'll see. But I suspect that is what they're going to do. I think that they will end up with a flat price. Simple as that. Not like per mile. That's it. And then they'll just go with that. We'll see. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll leave
the challenge
table.
again with that is there's peaks and valleys during the day for demand. And so if you have a flat fee that's super low, then you could have this massive demand spike that then extends wait times to a point that's no longer
how you solve that?
Enjoyable. Well, you flood the market with vehicles is the way you deal with that. Right. Exactly.
The only reason why there's spikes in demand, and because when Uber can't get enough drivers to participate. And so I'm going to raise the price so that you lower the cost or lower the number of customers who want one because it's too high price. But then you make it higher incentive for the driver to go into this, let's say when there's a big concert and there's people out there and you're going to be stuck in traffic for so long. They go, Robotaxi doesn't care.
And it's interesting too, because some of the data we've seen, there was a trip to the airport that somebody did. I think it was a $19 trip. Yeah. The driver got $4 of that. So
there's some really just an Uber thing.
An Uber. Yeah. So there's some really weird situations where the drivers are just not being very well compensated at all for their time.
Okay. The other thing that I just wanted to, I repeated this so many times, but it's pretty impressive. The difference between what Tesla can do and any other solution out there is that when you walk in, it is your settings, and you have music, you have the ability to control, right? Apple Music, Spotify, Netflix, YouTube. I had an account with Disney Plus, so I had my Disney Plus app there, and as soon as I walked in, my music is playing. And you can play games. There's video games that we were playing back there. In this case, he was playing this, just a little bit of fun. Yeah. So it's just this idea that, and then Elon said, you can play a video there in this Roboception. So Inception, because it's like he was playing the 1010 Wii event while he was in the Robotaxi.
And this is not an insignificant thing, because the more you make it feel like your own car, right, ultimately the less need you'll feel like you need to own your own car. Because if every car you step into feels like your own car, then why do you need to own it if it just feels like your own car, right? So this is a nice touch.
Cern, you did it again. You blew my mind a little bit there. I mean, it's a simple comment, but the funny thing is I haven't heard anybody actually say that.
Yeah, right.
That's a very interesting comment. I think that this particular feature is it is the thing that's going to make you choose. Then this is a network effect. This is the thing that why would I choose any other options out there, right? So number one, I'm not going to choose a Waymo if I walk into a Waymo and I can't control my own music. But two, if I've already set it up, like you said, every Tesla feels like it's my car. Like literally my car. I can play all these things. I don't know. I don't see why anybody would pick something else.
Right.
So
it's just a small thing. It's just a small thing I think that makes a big difference for people.
So people who haven't caught up yet, basically, Cern and I was in a Robotaxi yesterday, and they had a safety monitor. So a Tesla employee sitting on the front right seat, but they did not move. They did not control the steering wheel. They had no control of the pedals. They did nothing except sit there. They did have their hand on a button on the open door button of the right side. And we suspect that is kind of like if they need to make the car to have an automatic stop because something is, like basically, what I think it is like when Tesla's enemies, like Dan O'Dowd, decides to throw a live dog in front of the car because they want to make a, some sort of thing, they would then stop it. And that's it. They have the ability to do an emergency stop if they needed to. And I think that was all it was. But otherwise,
that's clearly all that it was. That if with the button, you don't have any other control other than, stop, start kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that Chuck Cook was able to verify that yesterday in one of the vehicles that he was in.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, the other thing was, so you're driving on, it's cars, driverless. But if you needed to speak to a support person, there's a support person. And so you press the button and you can call a support person. I think this is much needed for people who've never driven in a Robotaxi before. They want to have questions. And there's somebody there that you can do. So that was a really nice touch of what that looks like. So here's, let's listen to the support button.
Will we get you in trouble if we hit the support button? Just see what happens.
Okay. All right, hitting support. Your currently queuing agent will be with you shortly. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, trying to get the in focus.
Says the Robotaxi support. How may I help?
Hi, we're just testing out the support and seeing how you guys do this. So we can basically ask any question, or how does this support work?
As far as solutions, I would like to instruct you to refer to our website for any question on how to support the vehicle, make sure everything goes what it is supposed to for your trip.
Okay, we will appreciate it. So we just hang up by hitting the button on the screen?
If you're done with me, I can go ahead and disconnect the call.
All right, you can disconnect. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well,
Well, that's cool.
yeah, it is cool. That was actually pretty quick.
That was like really quick.
It would have been nice if they had like a pre-planned thing to say for just test purposes, because we were clearly asking for test purposes. I'm assuming, so I'll just have to assume, but if something's not going right, or hey, I don't know what to do, I want to add a stop and I don't know how to do that, you would hit the support, and the guy on the phone, I'm assuming, we'll try it again later, he can probably change some things over the air for you, give you the actual destination you wanted to go to since it's in the wrong spot, or hey.
Yeah. And I think that's important, right? So what do you think about, what's your answer to people who say, hey, it was a small number of cars, they had a support, there's a safety driver there, this is a small geofenced area. What do you think about that?
Well, you've got to start somewhere. And so if you're starting a new service, why would you put 1,000 vehicles into the fleet when there might be a few kinks to work out, right? You start small. Clearly yesterday, Tesla was trying to get a little bit of a buzz by inviting folks like you that have large YouTube channels and a big audience, right? And your live stream yesterday generated a lot of interest, and so that was part of it. And I think they wanted to make sure that went really well, and so to ensure that that's the case, that you have a fairly small rollout. But from here, it's a question of scale. And Elon has mentioned many times about rapidly scaling. Now, we don't know necessarily when they'll start to do that. There may be still lots of kinks to work out in the system, and that's fine. I would expect that they're working on that. I would expect here in Austin that the geofenced area will expand, and it will truly become the Austin metro area, which will be about, I think, 8 to 10 times what Waymo is operating in right now. I don't know how quickly they'll do that. As part of that, they'll have to add vehicles to the fleet so that the wait times aren't too big. You're not waiting on a vehicle to travel 30 miles to get to you. It needs to be relatively close. And then from there, it's kind of a question of how quickly do they try to saturate this market. And that all remains to be seen, and that's going to be exciting to watch.
Okay, well, yesterday, a historic day. We did it, and it's ongoing. So there's a handful of people that have the app today, but they're expanding it. They're just continue to, roll it out to more and more people that over this week, and it's going to keep going. Right now, it's available from from 6 in the morning till 12 midnight. But I'm already hearing rumors now, talking to other Tesla employees, that apparently they might actually change that. I mean, this is all fluid, it's just brilliant to start this way. At the end of the day, Cern, let's talk about yesterday. Yesterday was a day that happened, and that was what I meant by, it happened. That it happened exactly the way I think you couldn't have asked for a better launch. we all experienced it. We all saw how great the FSC is. We felt that the FSC was better than the ones we're using now. Very comfortable, safe, easy to use, small, tiny bugs that weren't big deals. But at this point, very clear to me, and I'll ask you if you feel the same way. This is a winner. This is going to succeed. And I think at this point that they're going to scale faster than I initially said. I've been saying for the last several months, right? Because when we heard Elon say, I'm going to dip our toe, we're going to dip our toe, we're going to dip a toe, we're going to start with 10, 20, whatever, 30, 40. I felt like, okay, it won't be until January of next year, when finally they're going to start to scale. I at this point, now maybe it's just a one-day thing, so maybe I'm overreading to it, but at this point, from what I saw, what I heard everybody doing, it feels like such a big win. They're going to go faster.
Yeah, we certainly hope so, and we'll certainly, I think, find out relatively soon what that scale curve might look like.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not a smooth upward curve. Maybe there's some little stair steps along the way. If there's certain issues that need to be addressed. Hopefully there aren't any big issues where things have to be, sort of held in place for a while and they can't continue to grow. But either way, whatever that curve ends up looking like, we now have a glimpse of what the future looks like. Yeah. And this is what's coming to every city in America and eventually every city in the world, right? Yeah. We saw that yesterday for the first time ever. And that is what's exciting about it. That's what's important about what happened yesterday, right? And again, as I mentioned at the outset of the show, it's only going to get better from here in every single way you can possibly imagine.
That's a good point. Yeah.
What we saw yesterday was as bad as it's ever going to be. And it was absolutely amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Again, the big difference, a lot of people just keep forgetting somehow, is that every single Tesla that's made, yes, not everything, of course. There's hardware 3 cars need to be upgraded, but every new Tesla being made at this point, 2 million per year, can be done. They can be, the cars we used yesterday were just a regular Model Y that they bought this came off the factory floor. So,
yeah, and speaking of which, at the end of this week, and maybe this Sunday or this weekend coming up, they're going to have the first delivery from the end of the line in the factory to a customer's home.
So given what we saw yesterday, my confidence level that Elon said that June 28th that might happen. So first of all, he said that we think that we'll launch a Robotaxi June 22nd, and then he said June 28th, which is, like you said, 5 days from now, that some lucky buyer who buys a Model Y will have that car drive itself from the factory, come out of the factory, drive itself all the way to that person's home. And if they're in that geofence area, why not? It's already it's basically done, right? So
the other thing is I'm not sure if the factory's in the geofenced area right now. So that also speaks to the opportunity the likelihood that they're going to expand the geofenced area between now and Sunday.
Oh,
right.
Boom!
So that can work. And then the second thing is,
brilliant.
Wouldn't it be cool? You're sitting there with your friends and say, "I'm going to order a car right now, and I'm going to have it delivered right here." Right? Wouldn't that be a pretty cool, trick?
Experience.
Of course, you would have had to pre-order it a little bit.
Because honestly, if you've ever bought a Tesla, it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe sometimes 30 minutes if you're doing finance. But I mean, using the app to order it is shockingly fast. How fast all of a sudden you're done.
Yeah.
Another brilliant concept. Okay.
Eventually, you forget your spouse's birthday, and it's like, I can make up for it. I can have the car delivered here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting concept. Yeah, I don't know, but geofence for Robotaxi may be a little bit different than factory to home.
It may be,
but that could be the case.
But the expansion of the geofence, I think, is coming in Austin. I don't know when, but obviously they need to expand that.
All right, buddy. Thank you. First of all, appreciate you so much. That was fun. You hung out with me the whole day yesterday, 4 hours live stream. Like I said, 500,000 plus viewers. It was a good day. Fun.
Well, and I want to thank
you, sir.
I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody that joined us. Xander was awesome in putting together everything. Alexandra, Jeff, and so on. They were great because there were times when it was a little chaotic for us, and I feel that they did a really nice job of asking questions and answering questions from people. So thank you to everybody.
All right. Well, Tesla made history. We made history. Thanks, everybody. Follow Cern on his, check him out on his Brilliant Advice, BrilliantAdvice.net. Check him out what he does. See you soon. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Herbert.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.